close with him by all means, but I really feel like there's a bit of maturity here because, well, as far as I remember, for TEAMZONE, he's a bit more YOLO, you know, a bit more improv, right? But
Improv? Okay.
well, again, he was in Aura. Right?
Oh, that's true.
But now it just seems like he has this maturity, he has this experience, and he's able to shape this team to be a lot more disciplined. And that's why BOOSTGATE, they have a lot of people giving them props for that late game discipline and not falling for traps and all that.
Yeah, it looks like the draft is happening fast here. BOOSTGATE is going to be the first pick. TEAMZONE on the second. And I like the Kalia ban, considering that that kind of did destroy them a little bit going up against Onyx Indonesia. They banned out the Kalia, Grok, as well as the Eve. And then for TEAMZONE, banning out the Selena, Hayabusa, as well as the Jushin. It looks like for BOOSTGATE, Identity only used the Selena once, but it's enough to really make sure that he doesn't get that pick again.
Definitely a strong pick in the current meta if they want to play aggressive and try and go for the quick end. Man, right now though, it seems like for Coach TEAMZONE, the initiators and the roams is something that he is respecting, but he has to be careful about the counter engage as well, especially because they already have a Yuzong that's going to be forcing them to move forward in these fights.
Yeah, but considering everything that, you know, BGT, what makes them good is when they have momentum on their side. Having a lot of heroes to allow them to snowball is a really good idea, and that's when the TEAMZONE is the complete opposite, where they're more reactive, but they also react extremely well on the execution when the conditions are right. With the Gato to kind of break up that fight potentially, we'll see what the losses and wins are going to be out throughout the game.
Yeah, so for now, we got to look at the first three picks coming in from both teams. It looks like for BOOSTGATE, they understand the playmakers of the team. Make sure that Xe as well as Walker gets their heroes early, because if Walker gets hunkered down, it's going to be quite difficult for the team. And of course, in terms of the assassins, there's not much available now, so picking up the Lancelot is pretty solid, because I feel like how Identity as well as RX plays, especially RX, he has a very wide hero pool. He can still use the fighters he used an X-Board before to perfection, and the Obsidian as well. They had a 100% win rate in their last fight against VP.
And that's a scary thing. I don't know where Obsidian really stands in the meta. Her ult
I feel like it's RX special.
It is. I feel right now it's an RX special, but I feel like there's something about Obsidian's ult that we're not taking into consideration if you have the mechanical skill to really precisely target down anybody looking to engage while you continuously kite against your opponents. I think that's one of the cool things Obsidian brings to the table. But with the Claude and Obsidian bans here from the side of Z1, it looks like they've done their research alongside with the Lunox ban from BGT.
The last thing that BG wants right here is to go up against a carry and also a Lunox and have that Hylos be, you know, styrofoam and just get punched through immediately. We saw how this Hylos is kind of rising in popularity due to how far you can kind of like go for a catch and how you can also enable the team with a sustain. But right here, it seems like BGT are just going all in forwards. And for TEAMZONE now, with only the Gatot Kacha, I feel like they're going to be forced to go with some kind of peel. Otherwise, Carry and Yi Sun-shin, both very vulnerable to both the Lancelot and the Yuzong.
Yeah, now the Alice has been banned. Something like Lapu is still open for BGT. I kind of feel like they're considering if they can get a Kimmy, maybe they will put RX on a fighter, because when it comes to the marksman here, there's really not that many options. And now with the Farsa as well, I kind of feel like BGT, if they can get like a Kimi Lapu, that would still be kind of solid for them, because they got plenty of ways to deal with both the Farsa as well as the carry.
I feel like as of right now, the versatility of the way that, you know, TEAMZONE can actually look to approach BGT, as Arashi has clearly stated, hey, they want to go forward, with the only exception being Lancelot alongside with the Yuzong. They could look for potential flank angles, but I don't see them having a hard anchor, right? And that's a big problem. Now that with Lunox, and Lunox is currently missing, it's going to be a little bit difficult to say, all right, sure, I need a mage that not only scales, but more importantly can create these opportunities so that our flanks can connect.
Granger. Interesting. I thought the Granger might show up just because you can follow up from so far away with extra burst damage. The Labu actually goes on the side of TEAMZONE. So despite having 3 vulnerable members, they want to go with a Labu for additional setup, additional zoning.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they want to make sure that someone can actually dive and deal with both the Granger as well as the Kimmy. Because in the sense of how TEAMZONE wants to play, they do like to move as 5. So I feel like they want to make sure that everyone has their own targets, and the less people on Zixora, the better.
Yeah, and I don't know. We'll see whether or not Zixora is going to find that space that he's been looking for, but so far 1.5 counter index and 4.2 when it comes down to lineup rating in comparison to lineup rating of BGT. again, it's very momentum-based. They can get outscaled, and that's the scary part. Mid-game is crucial.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first game of day number 2 here on the Swiss stage. And this is going to be the rematch of the wildcards. BOOSTGATE going up against TEAMZONE.
Oh man, let's see how this one is going to go, because honestly, as much as they want to scale up and play for the late game, I think there's some danger in the late game for TEAMZONE themselves. The Granger is going to have so much more range available to kind of poke them down before the fights even begin. And we know that with the Hylos and Gato coming back here, it's going to be a bit of an all-in type of fight for the most part.
I am curious about the laning phase, right? Because I think that XC, he's going to be a huge predeterminer of how this first turtle is going to play out. Same goes for Bankai, but the onus is a little bit more on XC only because he's running the Petrify, right? At any time, if he makes a mistake in lane, Bankai could completely throw the next 8 minutes.
Right now for TEAMZONE, they just want to make sure that Zexora gets as much as possible. It looks like he's not able to get the Little Wanderer, but again, they just got to delay a little bit. If they can go for a fight, if Bankai gets a good catch, then hey, go for it. You got Kenny. Kenny does have that damage once he hits level 4.
If teams don't want to go for fights, though, they better make sure that the fights end quick, because in the early game, a Kimi and a Hylos, that's a lot of like built-in DPS.
Yep, but we're seeing it right now as Kenny is getting absolutely blasted, forcing Bright to use his Revitalize. Now, Identity did take a little bit of damage and probably will lose a minion coming back into the wave, but that's more than enough to kind of set the tone.
Seeing the emblems here, a bunch of Festival of Bloods. Again, sustain, a very underrated resource in the current meta. For the most part, though, again, the poke damage coming from the Granger is something that TEAMZONE definitely have to kind of be a bit more concerned about. For now, though, with the revitalized advantage that BOOSTGATE has, I believe they're going to be planning on setting up for a big play.
Here's the big play. The Phantom Execution finds first blood. Kazue, great gank on the mid lane. Trying to get a freeze down there, but unfortunately, Bright was not able to break it in time. RX able to get the bullcrap on his own, and that's the very first stone being thrown into the river.
Yeah, honestly, good engage coming in from BOOSTGATE, both Walker as well as Identity. Make sure that Kenny could not get away, but now Walker gets attacked.
Might be in some trouble here, Rector. Hey, he's still outsustaining all the damage, allowing XE to start chasing Zexora, petrifies him, locks him up, and that's going to be another kill going over to BOOSTGATE. The turtle is down as Bankai is looking for a return trade with the bravest fighter as Bankai jumps forward, luckily able to take out Wacker before he goes down. XE still in trouble, but Kani got to be careful. K finds one with the help of the flank, and there we have it. They even up the score, 4-2-3.
Dude, it didn't seem like TEAMZONE were going to be able to match up to the early game damage, the Yuzong, the Kimi. But somehow, some way, they kite back long enough that the skills come back up, and on paper at least, they have more burst damage to catch BOOSTGATE Esports off guard. And they did. They walk up afterwards and just got cleaned up.
They got cleaned up hella hard, and now the invasion's coming in from Zexora just to try to get himself ahead. They know that Kazue is ahead, and they need to make sure that Zexora scales at roughly the same amount of time. Glorious Pathway already down, and Kani, thinking the most dangerous path, has to flicker at the very end, but they got the Phantom Execution. Retributions from both jungles are down.
Yeah, I like the way that TEAMZONE is using their flickers here, where Kenny essentially is just trying to stay safe, and K try to get involved in the fights as much as possible, because even just now at level 4, dealing quite a lot of damage onto Kazue. So I feel like for the next turtle fight, they do have to be careful. RX needs to be able to tell BOOSTGATE whether K is in the lane or actually rotating, because for Zexora, he needs time, he needs space. Bankai can give that right now. And at this point, looking at the damage that K is able to do when no one really has any kind of items, especially the Chastised Pauldron, he's still kind of a threat. Not enough to kill, but definitely enough to make you worry a bit.
Check out this gamble here. No boots from either side. Even XE figured it out, but now Bright in trouble with the Feather Air trying to support him, unable to get out. And now with the AOG gone and a dead body, Identity might just be next on the chopping block, but with War Axe already found, Bankai gets one. XE, he's looking for a little bit more. Gets hit by the turtle boat, and now Wacker is the next to fall with Kenny and Zexora at the back. They are just cutting them down.
BOOSTGATE Esports is overextending so much there. They had the value, they had TEAMZONE on the back foot, but then they overchase into the big AoE tools. Again, TEAMZONE are very skill reliant, but BOOSTGATE Esports are chasing so far, it's allowing them to reset on the skills and then set up for a big AoE combo play.
Yeah, and again, like, TEAMZONE, they're a team that learned from their mistakes. The first interaction XE had with Zexora, he was able to use the Furious Dive alongside the Petrify and lock him out. With Walker trying to buy as much time as possible, giving space for XE to do that again, Zexora saw that coming. So I kind of feel like yes, what you did was good, but you gotta mix your plays a little bit. You cannot be that predictable against Xora.
I think for now, the Freer's dive already down and the feathered airstrike coming through. Wacker going to die again. No revitalize. He still had 7 seconds left on that clock. And K almost breaking the mid-tier 1. Again, this is working out well for TEAMZONE, right? They're not giving BOOSTGATE Esports saying, hey, we're just going to react. We also are going to apply pressure.
It's almost like BOOSTGATE Esports feel that pressure, and then it's manifesting itself in them really chasing to try and force TEAMZONE to fully commit when their skills are down. But with the mobility that's built in, I mean, even K to a degree has some mobility on that carry. So BOOSTGATE Esports are just getting kited a bit too much. They have to rely a bit more on the crowd control. Unless Wachter or Xe gets a decisive catch or engage, I don't really think they have what it takes to kind of move forward slowly but surely.
Yeah, honestly, BOOSTGATE, they can't be one-trick ponies going up against TEAMZONE here. They got to figure out a different way to engage into a fight. Force allows Xora to use the Traceless first and then get onto him.
Oh, they waited for the right time. They managed to get the stun onto Kazue, forcing him to back out. However, it did come at the cost of the Dragon Boat. And now that they're looking across the map, right, the quick lane swap as well. Kazue, luckily, is maintaining his lead against Xora, but that top side, K, they're not stopping. They're sacrificing turns just to get him ahead.
And the thing is, right now, as long as TEAMZONE is able to control Xe, they're all good. Because Xe is the real threat for TEAMZONE. He doesn't even have to get those kills. He just has to be, I would say, give vision as well as lock down either Xora or K. Lockdown for 2 seconds is more than enough for BOOSTGATE to follow up.
And now here we go, Bravest Fighter, Kazue able to secure the turtle. Feather airstrike out and cancel. Xe petrifies him and now is on the chase. The Furious dives go nowhere as Xora is going to take him out. Bankai actually finds it. Now the AOG cutting them off. Wacker cannot just run through that fire. Really good play coming in from TEAMZONE.
BOOSTGATE Esports just don't have enough damage. Xe there, he got the full-on rotation onto Kenny, and still, even without the Feather Airstrike zoning away Identity and RX, they just seem so behind that RX and Identity themselves don't really have a lot of damage, even when they're left to their own devices.
Well, Lafel, what do you think? Because in that fight itself, usually what we're used to seeing is when you wombo combo, you kind of do it at the same time, but the layering of the Feather Airstrike, then the AOG to cut them off. What do you think about that?
Well, we're going to be looking at an instant replay here to see the play that BOOSTGATE attempted. But again, retaliate pretty well by TEAMZONE. They got the turtle, but looking at the movements here, it does look like they're not all on the same page. Xe understands his job as the EXP, trying to stop Kenny, but then the rest of the team, especially Identity, was far enough away, zoned out by TEAMZONE, making it so that BOOSTGATE engages does not look clean at all. They don't have enough damage because this Granger, after the nerfs, oh, hold on. Oh,
Feather Strike, gonna take out Xe. Glorious Pathway was already thrown out, but again, Wacker just could not close the distance to cancel it out. Not enough HP.
Yeah, just to make it very simple, BOOSTGATE needs to play around Xe. When Xe goes in, he, in a way, understands that he will die, but you guys got to retaliate. RX with 0 stacks on that Skypiercer really made it so that BOOSTGATE does not have enough damage.
And they have to follow up somehow, some way, even if they can't really go in and get a kill or a big catch off it. Especially Kazue, I feel like he and Xe need to coordinate and figure out who's doing what. Who's actually going to try and jump towards K or Kenny, who's zoning, who's actually going for the kill. Because as of right now, it seems like everyone is playing template and TEAMZONE are getting a read on who's actually doing what from BOOSTGATE Esports.
Yeah, I think especially for TEAMZONE, a team that is from a region that's notorious of downloading their opponents. They've got templates for days. This is atypical of how a team should be moving around the map.
Honestly, one thing that they can do is look at Bright. If Bright already used the Unbreakable, let Kazue go in, right? Go on a solo mission, make them panic, and then once everyone panics, a lot of abilities have been used, then Xe goes in. We understand that it's usually the roam or the EXP, but there's not much tools that TEAMZONE can use to punish this Lancelot. So I kind of feel like he has to be the initial distraction and then come back in as the cleanup.
All right, let's balance the odds here because now we're seeing a contention for the potential Lord. Level 13 on Kazue. He can use the Phantom Execution, get in, potentially out, and TEAMZONE, they know as well. It's not worth contesting it here. This is the worst possible fight that we could take because if we all get executed here, it's over. And now they jump Bravest Fighter next for Bankai with the help of the Feathered Airstrike, and unfortunately, it's just raw peel for the Black Dragon formation. Xe goes in, Revitalize keeps them alive, and Xora takes them out as K attacks the backline. Double kill, already found the AOG, cuts out Kazue for a double on Xora. T2's now a threat.
Almost a complete wipeout here for Team Zone. KO on the carry again with all his teammates pressuring the members of BOOSTGATE. There's nothing left for the punish. He flickered forward there and had his eyes straight on Identity, immediately deleting him with the fadeaway. And just like that, Team Zone now are definitely in the lead, and they're going for the Lord.
Oh, this is so frustrating, especially for RX, right? No deaths, you've been farming the whole game, you've got the items, but you can't stack up the Sky Piercer.
Honestly, this is why Team Zone is pretty scary. The more losses that they experience, the stronger that they're gonna get, because again, they love the game. They make sure that every single time they hang in one room and then figure out what went wrong and make sure that they don't do that again. In terms of what BOOSTGATE is doing wrong, honestly, is just that this is a very difficult draft for them to pilot, especially because we only been spamming the Hayabusa. The good thing that Team Zone banning out that Hayabusa, because we is good on the Lancelot. But definitely, it's like the entire team is not used to this kind of playstyle.
Yeah, no, they need to kind of wait for Kazue to get in position first. It's not as easy compared to Hayabusa, who can hop over walls. They want to make sure that Kazue can get in and out pretty safely, so they're just going to have to wait for his call. I think, personally, for me, right now we need to see a little bit from Identity to slow him down, but we'll try to see, because so far the front to back does not look good.
There's so many limited control tools available for BOOSTGATE, and Team Zone is completely abusing it.
Oh, okay, all right. Just 3 ults already being utilized. 4 ults as well, trying to clear up these waves, make sure the inhibitors are going to stay alive as Xora finally hits his item power spike in the BOD.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with you. Identity needs to be able to do something, but can he? Oh, hold up.
Oh! Getting a little dangerous there, but Bankai, he's already engaged. He's already got the Lance player. When the Brave is fighting, gets it. Double kill for Brian of all players as he flickers forward to catch more. The hunt is over, and Team Zone have minions. The Crystal, the last of whole Identity. Can he clear those minions up? No, they don't give him a chance. And even with the AOG, it just ain't enough. That's GG, well played for Team Zone.
Absolutely dominant showing there. Not a single step backwards from Team Zone. They are the danger, and even when the big ultimates are popped, are used by BOOSTGATE, they just take it straight up.
Yeah, and honestly, this Farsa coming in from Kenny is also quite a big problem. The man you see on screen here, no matter how you try to engage, Kenny just make sure that they don't have enough damage, because he's able to get onto that Kimi. And then, okay, so that's one less damage. Kazui could not find any ways to go in, and then once Xe with that Yuzong, dealing with the Yushin Shin, dealing with the carry, dealing with the Farsa, is not easy for Yuzong, especially when he's, in my opinion, kind of behind.
Yeah, honestly, pretty behind, because towards the end, we did see the initial switch up of first items. He started off with the boots, got into his Fury Hammer, looked at the opposite side and realized, wait a minute, the Lapu just rushed straight into War Axe, no boots whatsoever. I gotta do the same.
Yeah. Looking at the end here, again, like, you can clearly see is that even if somehow Team of BOOSTGATE able to get some kind of punish, the damage is not there. And you can definitely feel the nerf on the Granger. I feel like Granger is still definitely viable. It's just that now you kind of have to play around him a little bit more instead of hoping for he himself to get basically the stacks all by himself.
You gotta feed him like a little baby bird, right? Get him a couple of those stacks first, and then you push him out of the nest.
He's a real marksman that takes some time, takes some resources. Not all as independent as he used to be.
Yeah.
Only different is that he's not really item dependent. He's just really kill dependent, which is pretty different, right? Compared to most marksmen where they really need items.
Yes and no at the same time, because Granger is in a really unique position. He's like, when you're talking about marksmen, he's a skill shot marksman essentially, right? How often do you actually use his auto attacks other than to
ability-based?
Ability-based, you know? And that's just the way that it has to go. I think for at least if there's a learning aspect of it all.
Yep. And now we're going over for an interview with Brigida on stage.
Congratulations to Team Zone. Once again, can we please give a warm round of applause for Team Zone? Welcome, Bright and Coach Summer on stage. Congratulations after that win. So I just have a few questions for you guys after that match, okay? So this is the second time that you actually came on top of BOOSTGATE Esports. So you went up against them already in the wildcards. Was there any difference preparing for a best of one compared to a best of three?
Yeah, because we knew what they were gonna pick, and we kind of expected what they were gonna pick. So it was easier to draft, and the pre-game talk was, of course, different from best of 3. So yeah, it was different, but yeah, it was very different.
So you prefer best of 1 drafting compared to best of 3?
Yes.
I see. All right. So for Bright, yesterday, I think we would all recall that there was a very surprising pick on the opposing team and that you suffered quite a tough loss against Yangon. So could you walk us through how the team felt and how they reacted to that Hellcurt pick that you went up against yesterday?
Ер нь бол бооник тоглолтын дээр айлынхаа ерөн ки хиронуудын бандсан дээр идэм байлээ. Тэгээд өнөөдөр ер нь бол айлта тийм. Тэгээд өчигдөр бид нэр ер нь айлынхаа ки хиронуудыг хүндлээгөө болохоор ерөн хожигдсан гэж бодож байна. Тэгээд өнөөдрийн хувьд бол айлынхаа ер нь сайн чаддаг баатруудыг өгөөгүй тоглосон. Ер нь бид бооник дээр зөв гэж бодож байна.
Yeah, the best of 1, it's kind of a draft thing, right? They could pick anything, right? Mr. Tarkle lane, Freya jungle as we saw, and yesterday we didn't know what they were gonna pick, and we kind of lost on the draft. But today we knew what they were gonna pick. They picked Selena and Hayabusa. We banned their key heroes, but yesterday we couldn't do that because we had no information about them. And yeah, I think he thinks that was the turning point.
Yeah, I completely understand. I think we've been hearing a lot about how BOOSTGATE has been constantly improving behind the scenes, especially as they step foot into the main stage. So that was very understandable, but now we see how they were able to overcome all that, and now with a win against Boostgate Esports. So last question for both of you, any can answer. So you are now 2 wins away from potentially qualifying to the knockouts. So what do you guys plan to do to stay in the zone and to make sure that you can make history for Mongolia eventually?
Talking about history, everything we do from now on is history. So if we are being overconfident, it's not us being cocky, it's just us being proud of ourselves. So please do understand that. And yeah, making history. We are already making history. So yeah, reaching to playoffs is nice, but it's not. Job is not done.
Yes, these are small wins. Whatever happens, whatever they're able to achieve, I'm sure Mongolia is very, very proud of you, and you're also gaining a lot more supporters along the way. So thank you so much to Bright and Summer for joining us on stage. We really love the answers you were able to share with us, and we wish you luck in your upcoming matches. But for now, I think it's about time we throw it back to our casters to break down what happened in that game.
Thank you very much, Brigida. And this basically solidifies that, TEAMZONE, they're kind of like a late game team where the longer they're in the tournament, the more picks that they understand is going to get picked up. They're going to be looking pretty strong because, again, the last time they went up against BOOSTGATE, it was more 50-50. But we heard from Coach Summers, like, we know what they're going to pick. They like the Haya. They like the Selena. Once we ban both those out, they're really running out of options. And we can definitely see how bad it is for them. And worse still is that not only BOOSTGATE is 0-2 right now, their upcoming opponents kind of know what to ban now.
Man, I mean, on the flip side, though, they did say that yesterday, when there's no information, they really get caught off guard. So actually, they're going to be even more scary as contenders as the series progresses.
Well, talking about serious contenders here, let's give it up for our MVP of this game. Really nasty stuff coming in from Bankai with a fast early rush into that War Axe. But I think, again, him alongside with Bright did really good jobs at mispositioning their opponents to kind of funnel them into one hole.
Yeah, and that's why I was shouting out the Lapu, where I thought BOOSTGATE would just take it for themselves, put it in the goal lane, because their draft, I would say both teams' draft kind of suffer going up against a Lapu. So maybe just an oversight there. But either ways, yeah, Bankai had an amazing game. We're going to be looking at the highlights here. And we saw BOOSTGATE, I would say for the first 3 minutes, they kind of know what to do. But the moment they fail on Zexora, this is the moment. It kind of looked like they were a bit lost.
Yeah.
Or the one after this.
It was an interesting moment, right? Because again, this was a really big trade with a early rotation coming in from K at level 4. Most gold laners usually just pick up the mid wave at this point, but still, K wanted to try and trade back. And this continued to be like a continuous story throughout these games. Just forced desperation engagements compared to cool, calm, collected, and then slowly regaining the resources.
I think it's great to see as well TeamZone understanding that, hey, Identity in particular and Wactor, they're kiteable. We have more range, more dynamic playmaking tools. So for the most part, it's not just about making sure that they have the right formation and get the right combos. Every single one of their heroes can actually perform individually when it comes down to bursting. They don't really rely on each other. The Yisun Shin, the Farsa, and even the carry to a degree can go all in. So when they understand who is the actual source of danger, all five actually 4 members, except for Bright, can actually go in and delete whoever backline presence that BOOSTGATE are trying to use to carry the fight. And look at the fadeaway from K. That is a common pattern throughout the whole game, dude. He just keeps flickering forward.
Yeah, for BOOSTGATE, this is going to be quite dangerous because their next game, all of their games after this, are essentially elimination matches, and they need to diversify their pool just a little bit because now you got to assume that you're not going to be getting the Selena, you're not going to be getting the Hayabusa. For TeamZone, they did say they kind of like this best of 1 because it's really on the draft, and I'm guessing maybe it's just Coach Summer saying like, I feel the most important here, and and so far, yeah, he's doing quite well. Now in a 1-1, they're still going to be continuing that best of 1 format.
Yeah, at the very least for TeamZone, they're going to be competing in that best of 1. BGT is where it gets a little scary, right? Because I think their biggest strength was the fact that they play these high momentum style comps. They're great in best of 1s, but now that the draft has been figured out, I think once they start getting into the best of 3s, we really need to see how diverse or at least how deep the portfolio is.
They did have their own like comeback story in the wildcards.
Yeah.
But again, they have to try and find other ways and even find ways to get out of the box because they know what they're good at, but sometimes it's about making sure that you're also not bad at anything and having a rounded game. Looking at the item share, by the way, right before that final push, I think Zixora picked up a BOD, but K had a Malefic gun at 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Like, bro, what the heck?
Yep.
And even there, he was still respectful enough. He was flickering forward, but he switched out one of his items for a Winter Crown just in case something gets traded back. So, dude, all the way till the end of the game, even when they're on a dominant position, you can still see the respect, and that's a scary aspect from a team that's relatively new.
And again, this is also showing the amount of information that TeamZone had because you're right, Rashi, where BOOSTGATE, they did have kind of a comeback run in their game against E, but the reason why they won was that Hayabusa, the Obsidia, as well as, I would say Selena, yes, but Selena was game 5, right? But we saw all 3 heroes being banned out by Zone. I kind of feel like BOOSTGATE was hoping they would forget about that Obsidia and let the Obsidia go.